Hello and welcome back to What's What. In this episode, we are going to look into some truth and lies about electricity. Mark Twain said, "A lie travels around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes." Think about it. With the expansion of online networks, hoaxes and conspiracies are more widespread than ever. And with that, there is no shortage of misinformation regarding electricity. We, as consumers, must stay ahead of the game. That means knowing what's real and what's fake. So today, we'll study a few specific cases to put things into perspective. But before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe below. Videos circling online can be deceiving and mislead us on the possibilities of electricity. An example would be a blue lightning ball clip I keep on seeing. This video has gone viral, got debunked, then gone viral and got debunked again, over and over. But if we do our research, we will find that the original video was posted on May 2019 by a 3D artist. No doubt, these graphics are worthy of a sci-fi film. The deserted train station, the blue sphere moving along the ground, causing shock as it passes. But despite the spectacular visuals, the featured ball of blue lightning is not that of a natural phenomenon like many believed, but instead a product of great CGI. So what is the lesson here? Well, if we don't want to be fooled, we must stay informed and be aware of science. First, we can establish that electric charges don't float directly above the ground surface. Second, when a discharge occurs through an electric arc, its charge moves toward the Earth and there would be no ball. Third, when an arc does occur, charges take the shortest way through the air to the nearest conducting object. Not from one lamppost to another. Though it does look pretty cool, doesn't it? But when I think about it, floating spheres have intrigued people for many years before YouTube. Its phenomenon was described in literary works and even depicted in comics. And our fascination with it could be rooted in reality. Ball lightning is difficult to capture and even more difficult to study. Knowledge on the subject, which is mainly based on testimonials, is not enough to draw conclusions. The actual phenomenon could only be reproduced experimentally in 2007. There are theories of how a ball of lightning could be created, like a chemical model that determines when lightning strikes the ground. It vaporizes silicon particles, adds carbon and oxygen, and these filaments fold onto themselves to form a sphere. Plasma physics can provide a second explanation. Lightning would cause electrons to be stripped from a large number of atoms or molecules, which become ionized. The plasma ball would then be formed by looping electric currents that confine one another within the magnetic field they create. Wow, what a sight! But there's more. One piece of visual evidence has been validated in 2012 by recorded images of researchers. A sphere-shaped spectrum of light emitted by lightning for just over a second. So there are real videos out there. We just have to know how to spot the real from the fake. But like I mentioned before, imitation and myth came long before YouTube. And when I think of the greatest told tales of science, one in particular strikes. What if one of the most remembered moments in science was a myth? Benjamin Franklin's kite experiment led to some great understandings and advancements, like the lightning rod. But in all reality, if Franklin's kite was struck by visible lightning, Franklin would not have survived. Think of the times, the idea, the image, a rural philosopher-scientist using his child's toy to perform a dangerous experiment, an unknown and spectacular force of nature coming down from the sky. This story, it became an international event. The myth even charmed those overseas and made Franklin an irresistible celebrity when he traveled to France during the American Revolution and persuaded the French to join their fight. But despite Franklin's great respect for scientific pursuits, our expanding knowledge proves his story was somewhat fantasized, and more historians are growing unconvinced of the tale's details over time. Regardless, his trick, real or not, led to some big wins. We can't be mad at that, but not all trickery is intended for good. The world uses more electricity than ever, and consumers are always looking for ways to save on their bill. In the market, you can find items known as power savers, which you plug into your wall and wait as it reduces your electricity cost. Sounds too good to be true? That's because it is. When engineers dismantle these power savers and analyze their operations, they find they have no impact on usage, that nothing in them can reduce electricity consumption. So we were hoping to save money, but in the end, we did the opposite. Now, what can we do? Think forward. Because it's easier than suspected to identify scams. Knowledge is key. Watch out for websites built on fake reviews. Stay away from patent-pending technologies. Remember that endorsement ads are paid for. Know when to spot a false testimony. Watch the news or cross-search questionable bargains. And be wary of companies that claim they are running out of stock. They do so only to create a false sense of urgency. But why do all this work? You just lost some change anyway, right? Wrong. If you've been scammed, your credit card information can be taken and reused fraudulently. So keep your eyes out, stay vigilant. Trust your instincts, and remember, the best way to save on electricity is with basic energy-saving measures. Being on the lookout for ways to save, for new ways to cheat the system, is what leads us to scams. But this search can also lead us to new ideas. Sometimes our ideas work and sometimes they don't. It all depends on application of knowledge. Let's use this trendy photo as a reference. The owner of this car hooked a belt to their wheel and attached an alternator to it, hoping to gain energy. It seems simple. The wheels turn the alternator, which should relay energy and recharge its battery. Not bad, right? Wrong. The law of physics prevents infinite energy, or perpetual motion. For energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. The key is when a machine transforms energy, part of that energy is lost. The wheels of this car, for example, do not create energy, but transfer it from electrical to mechanical forms. And since the energy is not created, the attached alternator therefore sends less energy than it receives from the wheel. All this works towards depletion, rendering the device useless. I know, science can be tricky. But remember, with every conversion comes losses. And speaking of energy, it might be time to wrap things up. Fake videos circle online. This includes videos featuring electricity phenomena. Some moments that change history could be no more than myth. Be aware of methods used by electricity scammers. That way you do not fall victim to the con. The best way to save on electricity is to be practical. No device will wash your usage away. To understand energy processes that are workable, we must have a basic understanding of science. Energy cannot be created from nothing and must be transformed for use. Tell me, do you have any electricity myth you'd like to share? Any videos that make you curious, that you question? How about scams that you have come across? Feel free to share your experiences below. This is Frederick from the What's What studio. We'll see you next time.